When things go badly, he reaches for the suitcase with the red button. Putin has conducted another nuclear drill.
The modernity of our armed forces, or rather, the impressive strength and advanced capabilities of our nuclear deterrent, is now at the highest possible level.
The Kremlin's new scare tactic, a cruise missile that can supposedly fly almost forever, bypassing air defenses, and is capable of striking any target tens of thousands of kilometers away.
How many thousands of kilometers?
14,000.
14,000, and it stayed in the air.
For about 15 hours.
And that's not the limit.
Not the limit.
But what is the real state of Putin's nuclear triad today? Which of Russia's most modern missiles are capable of carrying deadly warheads? And how ready are they for combat use?
Not a single successful test has been conducted with this armata. Oh,
We're going to tell you about Putin's most formidable weapon right now in the new episode of Arsenal. Launches from Plesetsk and the Barents Sea. Against the backdrop of the possible transfer of Tomahawks to Ukraine, Russia has once again decided to intimidate the West with its deadly weapons. Thus, an intercontinental ballistic missile Yars was launched from the Plesetsk Cosmodrome. And from the waters of the Barents Sea, a ballistic missile called Sineva was launched from the strategic submarine Bryansk. Russian propaganda presented all of this as a grand response to unfriendly countries.
these tests are conducted annually and are a regular occurrence. Russia conducted them on October 26, 2022, October 25, 2023, and October 29, 2024. So basically they do it every year at the end of October. So the attempt to link this and show off, like look at us, is actually maybe Putin doesn't use the internet, but the rest of the civilized world does, and you can just look it up. These are routine tests that Russia conducts every year.
However, Russia has long mastered the art of presenting empty gestures as major sensations. And these tests were no exception. In particular, it was claimed that for the first time a cruise missile was tested that, thanks to its engine's features, can stay airborne for hours, maneuver to evade air defenses, and hit a target tens of thousands of kilometers away. And of course, no one else in the world has such a weapon yet.
This test was conducted on October 21st. Indeed, what truly set it apart from all previous tests was the remarkable fact that the missile successfully completed an exceptionally long, multi-hour flight, during which it impressively covered a vast distance of approximately 14,000 kilometers in total. And that's not the limit of its capabilities. On a nuclear power station, yes. So, the technical specifications of the Burevestnik actually allow it to be used with guaranteed accuracy against highly protected targets at any distance.
By the way, it was the same story with the Kinzhal missiles at one time, which Ukraine repeatedly shot down. So the specifications could very well turn out to be just another fake. Also, during the tests, a Yars intercontinental ballistic missile was launched, which landed at the Kura test range in Kamchatka. In other words, the launch was deliberately carried out in the direction of the United States.
For Europe, let's put it this way, the launches of such missiles, the demonstration of such launches is a real threat.
Let me remind you, the RS-24 Yars is a Russian strategic missile system equipped with a solid-fuel intercontinental ballistic missile, which can be deployed both on mobile launchers and in silos, and features a multiple independently targetable re-entry vehicle, Merv warhead.
Yars missiles make up about 1.5 times more than all other Russian intercontinental ballistic missiles combined. Currently, according to international sources such as Military Air Power, as well as other reputable reports, it is stated that the Russians have a total of 180 Yars missile systems in mobile deployment alone. And if you count all the systems together, including both the mobile and the silo-based ones, 180 mobile and 24 silo-based, that makes over 200 in total. So there are about twice as many Yars missiles as all the other missiles combined.
These missiles, like everything else in modern Russia, are based on designs from Soviet engineers. Specifically, the Yars is a continuation of the Topol-M project. Its first test launch was conducted in May 2007 at the Plesetsk range. In the future, the Yars will become the foundation for Putin's Oreshnik, which the occupiers launched at the Ukrainian city of Dnipro. Just like the Burevestnik, the RS-24 missile has a multiple independently targetable re-entry vehicle (MERV) warhead. In other words, the Yars is equipped with several warheads that once separated can strike multiple targets at once, all with the launch of just a single missile.
The missile itself is equipped with a separable warhead which contains about 3 to 4, depending on the yield, 3 to 4 individual warheads. Each of these is an individually guided warhead. The yield of each warhead, measured in TNT equivalent, is up to half a megaton, which is 500 kilotons. For comparison, the bomb dropped on Hiroshima was 20 kilotons. So that's 25 times more powerful than the bomb dropped on Hiroshima.
At the same time, analysts add, if it actually flies, for example, the previous Yars tests basically ended before they even began. Not forgetting, it was telling that the main audience for all these launches, the US, was warned in advance. The next day the exercises were cancelled because the missile simply failed to launch.
There are many possible reasons. Obviously, issues were discovered during the launch preparations, some parameter inconsistencies. The launch preparation is a multi-stage process. First of all, the launcher leaves the park. From the division's location, it moves to its designated operational area, takes up position, the launch point coordinates are entered, and the launch is carried out. But before that, of course, all the missile systems are checked. Obviously, something went wrong during this process, and the launch was postponed.
But the launch of another one of the Kremlin's wonder weapons was not postponed. But something there also didn't go according to plan. That very Sarmat, also a key component of the nuclear triad. Not only did it fail to take off, but it also destroyed a significant part of the test site by exploding right in the launch silo.
I want to emphasize in particular that only domestic units, components, and parts were used in the creation of the Sarmat.
The most epic part, analysts say, is that during testing the missile never once demonstrated stable operation, but it has already been in service with the Russian army for years and has received the full set of
certification documents. The missile is not ready. Out of 5 tests, only 1 was successful, and that was the very first one. Nevertheless, serial production is beginning. Well, this can only be explained by one thing. The people responsible for this are simply afraid, trembling. They're afraid of President Putin, to whom they promised that the missile would be ready any day now. And besides that, secondly, they probably hope that these missiles will never actually be used.
Well, as for the training launches, they couldn't get out of doing them. As a result, there was a detonation at Plesetsk. Experts believe that an abnormal situation with the rocket fuel occurred during the attempted launch. As a result, the launch pad turned into a huge crater.
Speaking specifically about this ballistic missile, it generally uses so-called liquid fuel, which is highly flammable and explosive. And as a rule, if detonations occur with these types of ballistic missiles, then, as a rule, in 90% of cases, this is directly related to the fuel, either during refueling or due to some kind of leak.
However, there are other versions of the incident. Some experts believe that as a result of sanctions, Russia has lost a large number of Western military components, which year after year will affect the production of high-precision weapons.
Most likely, this missile still depends on Western components to a greater or lesser extent. Probably just like other Russian ballistic missiles, such as those from the Iskander systems or other types. Therefore, most likely, one of the possible reasons could be the use of unlicensed or uncertified microchips, including Western ones. Some components that, as a rule, are not intended for ballistic missiles, but rather for washing machines for cars.
Notably, it seems that the Sarmat designers breathed a sigh of relief at this point. After all, this fiasco with the explosion in the silo put an end to the testing of the so-called Wonder missile for many months, and therefore to new failures as well.
There was only one silo that was suitable in terms of size and equipment for testing. For this Sarmat, but now it is destroyed, and accordingly, I don't know where they will conduct tests now. You see, instead of a silo, there's just a charred black hole. So there is no silo. The silo needs to be rebuilt from scratch. Well, that will probably take about 1.5 years.
In conclusion, it's worth noting that you shouldn't underestimate a madman with nuclear weapons. But to be fair, most of his deadly weapons either don't work properly or in fact have no counterparts at all, only on paper. And if widespread problems occur during planned, well-prepared exercises, then the possibility of using such missiles in combat, that is in an emergency mode, remains highly questionable. Did you like this video? Then don't forget to give it a like and subscribe to our Arsenal channel. The link is in the description below the video.